This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Books, PD products, science, fashion, and glam talk. From Bollywood to Hollywood, it's Meet and Greet with Dr. Afshan Hashmi. Every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Right here on K4HD Radio and Talk4 TV. And here's your host, international speaker, educator, award-winning entrepreneur, and best-selling author, Dr. Afshan Hashmi.
Hello everyone, this is Dr. Afshan Hashmi, live from the Ohio studio of K4HD Radio and Talk4 TV. And today, friends, I will be giving as a tribute to a legend actor of Bollywood who's no more with us today, Dev Anand. But before doing that, let me remind you that these are my two books. The first one is The Modern Mughal Mentality, New Strategies to Succeed in India and the Global Marketplace. And when this book came, there was a lot of research going on in Harvard and Stanford about the Hindi buzzword jugaad, which I have conceptualized as thinking outside the box. So if you employ these strategies, which I have made in a new business model, which is called Jugaad Management Principle Business Model, and there are case studies associated with it, you will have a very successful business. And this book is written in a very conversational manner, so you will love to read it. And this book was an Amazon bestseller. The second book is The Outbreak of A Monstrous Infection. And when this book came in 2019, there was no trace of coronavirus, but in a very unique story, I have told my readers and viewers what is the bioterrorism is and how a virus spreads and can ruin the human population. This book was also Amazon bestsellers, and these two books are available in Nook, in Kindle, in audiobooks, and in paperback forms. And please go and buy these two books and give me an honest review. And through these books, I finance these shows, and it takes a lot of energy and money to produce these kind of shows. So I will request you to give me sponsorship. And there is a beautiful small film I have made for my viewers and listeners about request for sponsorships, and my sound engineer Roxy will now play it. Roxy, can you please play the film?
Hello everyone, this is Dr. Afshan Hashmi, live from a barn country club in Virginia, and I just wanted to say that my K4HD Radio and Talk4 TV show called Meet and Greet with Dr. Afshan Hashmi is syndicated worldwide and has more than 300 million listeners. And if you want these shows to continue, please give a sponsorship, and I request to please give a sponsorship because these shows require a lot of energy and money to produce. So I would request everyone to give me sponsorship, and your product will be promoted in a very reasonable price, and you can contact me at afshan@drafshanhashmi.com. Cheers and bye.
And now, friends, as I said, please give me sponsorship and I will give you a very reasonable rate. And having said that, friends, now I will go on a break and I will be back, and then I will start my tribute to the legend called Dev Anand, who's no more with us.
Would you love exposure for your business, product, or service to over 300 million potential listeners? Send an email to info@talk4media.com. And now let's hear from some of our sponsors.
Chapter 2: How Jugaad leads to multi-sector success stories in India, including definitions of the Jugaad management principle business model. Of the book The Modern Mughal Mentality: New Strategies to Succeed in India and the Global Marketplace. Inspiration: True Jugaad is an inspiration on how to create products using technology that meet the price-value equation. According to a Harvard Business Review article featuring expert Prahlad and Mashelkar, most innovation programs are built on the assumptions of affluence and abundance. We see the rich and the young in both the developed and the developing countries demanding environmental friendly products and services. They also believe that affordability and sustainability are crucial to driving successful business today. New technologies and radical business models are important not only to penetrate mass markets in India but in the entire world. By reconfiguring all areas of the business structure, they will pull.
A monstrous infection is spreading worldwide. OMG, is this a simple infection or a deliberate attempt to ruin the human population? Or maybe it's bioterrorism. What is this global infection and who is spreading it? Help us find out. Go to Amazon and search for The Outbreak of A Monstrous Infection. The human race needs your help to make this go viral. Go to Amazon.com and read The Outbreak of a Monstrous Infection to find out what happens next. Go now! The world is depending on you.
And now, back to Dr. Afshan Hashmi's radio show.
Now, friends, I will give tribute to the legend of Bollywood who's no more with us, Dev Anand. Dev Anand, if you are listening in heaven, I want to give you flying kiss. I was a great fan of Dev Anand, so thought, and he was a legend actor, producer, filmmaker in Bollywood who produced number of films which crores of people liked in, millions of people liked in India and around the world. So here it is. Devanand. Dharam Dev Pirshori Mal Anand, 26 September 1923 to 3 December 2011, better known as Devanand, was an Indian film actor, writer, director, and producer known for his work in Hindi cinema through a career that spanned over 6 decades. He was one of the most successful actors in the Indian film industry. Anand was born Dharam Dev Anand on 26 September 1923 in the Shakargarh Tehsil of Gurdaspur district in Punjab, which was known as British India. His father, Pashori Lal Anand, was a well-to-do advocate in Gurdaspur district court. Dev was the third of the four sons born to Anand. One of Dev's younger sisters is Sheil Kanta Kapoor, who is the mother of film director Shekhar Kapoor. His older brothers were Manmohan Anand, or advocate Gurdaspur Anand, and the younger one was Vijay Anand. He did his schooling till matriculation from Sacred Heart School, Dalhousie, then in Punjab, and went to Government College Dharamshala before going to Lahore to study. Later, Dev completed a BA degree in English literature from the Government College Lahore in British India. After completing his BA degree in English literature from the Government College Lahore, then in British India, now in Pakistan, Devanand left his hometown for Bombay in the early 1940s. He began his career in the military census office at Churchgate for a monthly salary of rupees 65. Later, he worked as a clerk in an accounting firm for a salary of rupees 85. He joined his older brother Chetan as a member member of the Indian People's Theatre Association (IPTA), Devanand aspired to become a performer after seeing Ashok Kumar's performance in films such as Achut Kanya and Qismat. In the late 1940s, Anand was offered a few roles starring as the male lead opposite singer actor Suraya in the woman oriented films. While shooting these films, they became romantically involved. The two of them were paired in seven films together: Vidya 1948, Jeet 1949, Shire 1949, Aksar 1950, Neeli 1950, Do Sitare 1951, and Sanam 1951, all of which were successful at the box office. In these films, Suraya was always first biller in the credits, indicating that she was a bigger star than Anand. She fell in love with him during the shooting of the song Kinare Kinare Chale Jayenge from film Vidya. While shooting the scene, the boat they were in capsized and Anand saved Suraya from drowning. Initially, Suraya's family used to welcome Devanand at home, but when her maternal grandmother found out that the two were in love and even planned an actual marriage on the set of Jeet, she started monitoring them. Anand was offered his first break by Ashok Kumar. He spotted Anand hanging around in the studios and picked him as the hero for the Bombay Talkies production Siddhi 1948, co-starring Kamri Kaushal, which became an instant success. After Siddhi's success, Anand decided that he would start producing films, which was in the film Siddhi where the first ever किशोर लता duet ये कौन आया करके ये 16 सिंगार was recorded. This duet was an instant hit, and from here on both playback singers associations with Dev Anand began. This continued for the next 4 decades. His association with Kishore Kumar started when the former sang the first solo of his playback singing career, Marne Ki Duaएं, picturized on Devanand in the movie Ziddi. Dev had forged a very strong bond of friendship with Kishore Kumar during the making of the film. In the 60s, Devanand acquired a romantic image with films such as Manzil and Tere Ghar Ke Samne with Nutan, Kinare Kinare with Meena Kumari, Maya with Mala Sinha, Asli Nakli with Sadhna Shiv Dasani, Jab Pyar Kisi Se Hota Hai, Mahal with Aisha Parekh, and Teen Deviyan opposite three heroines Kalpana, Simmi Garewal, and Nanda. In the film Teen Deviyan, Devanand played a playboy. One of his notable films of the early 60s was Hum Dono 1961, which he produced and acted in as Anand, a young lover who joins the army in frustration over being shunned by the father of his love, Meeta, played by Sadhna Sivdasani. Anand played a double role in the film, also acting as Major Verma, his look-alike, who he runs into the army and forms a deep friendship with. Notable for its music by Jaydev, the film was a box office hit. His first color film, Guide with Wahida Rahman, was based on the novel of the same name by R.K. Narayanan. Devanand himself was the impetus for making the film version of the book. He met and persuaded Narayanan to give his assent to the project. Devanand taps his friends in Hollywood to launch an Indo-US co-production that was shot in Hindi and English simultaneously and was released in 1965. Guide, directed by younger brother Vijay Anand, was an acclaimed movie. They played Raju, a voluble guide who supports Rosie Wahida in her bid for freedom. He is not above thoughtlessly exploiting her for personal gains. Combining his style with substance, he gave an offering performance as a man grappling with his emotions in his passage through love Shame and Salvation. He reunited with Vijay Anand for the movie Jewel Thief, based on the thriller genre, which featured Vijayanti Mala, Tanuja, Anju Mahendru, Faryal, and Helen, and was very successful. Their next collaboration, Johnny Mera Naam 1970, again a thriller in which Dev was paired opposite Hema Malini, was a big hit. It was Johnny Mera Naam which made Hema Malini a big star. His directorial debut, the episonage drama Prem Pujari, was a flop but has developed a cult following over the years. The film introduced Zahida and had Wahida Rahman as the lead female artist. He tasted success with his 1971 directorial effort Hare Rama Hare Krishna, shot primarily in Nepal around Swam Bhunath and Bhaktapur, in which talks about the prevalent hippie culture. His find Zeenat Aman also played the mini-skirt sporting pot-smoking Janice became an overnight sensation. Dave also became as a filmmaker of traditionally topical themes. The same year, he starred with Mumtaz in Tere Mere Sapne, an adaptation of A.G. Cronin's novel The Citadel. The film was directed by Dave's brother Vijay and was also successful. In 1971, he paired again with Zahida in Gambler, which went on to become a success. In the 1970s, Raj Kapoor started playing roles of fathers in films such as Kal Aaj Aur Kal in 1971 and Dharam Karam in 1974, and had put on a lot of weight and films with Dilip Kumar as well. Lead hero like Dastan and Bairag were failures at the box office. Some of the hurriedly made films with Dev Anand as the leading man, three each opposite Hema Malini, Sharif Padmaj, Janeman Joshila, and two with Zeenat Aman, Ishq, Prem Shastra, and Sahab Bahadur with Priya Rajvansh, became flops and posed a threat to his career as leading man. He bounced back with the double role film Banarsi Babu in 1973. He delivered commercial hits again with young heroines like with Sharmila Tagore in Ye Gulasta Hamara, with Yogita Bali and Rakhi in Banarsi Babu 1973, with Hema Malini in Chupa Rustam 1973, and Amir Garib 1974, with Zeenat Aman in Hera Panna 1973, and Warrant in 1975, Palabaz and Darling Darling 1977, and with Parveen Bobby in Bullet 1976. The presence of his discoveries in the 1970s, Zeenat and later Tina Muneem in films, and his good on-screen chemistry with beautiful young stars such as Rakhi, Parveen Bobby, Hema Malini, and Zeenat Aman in various films boosted Dave's image as the evergreen star, even though he was well into his 50s. He attempted different genres of films, so acquired versatile hero image. He was already 55 when he was paired with Tina Muneem in 1978 in Des Pardes, which became among the top five grossing films of the year. Devanand has also been politically active. He led a group of film personalities who stood up against the internal emergencies imposed by the then Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi. He actively campaigned against her with his supporters in Indian parliamentary elections in 1977. He also formed a party called the National Party of India, which he later disbanded. The 1978 hit Des Pardes, directed by Dev Anand, was the debut movie of actress Tina Muneem, and this film's success gave him the tag of Evergreen Hero. Dev Anand was offered the real lead role in Man Pasand by director Basu Chatterjee. Dev Anand's successful run at the box office continued in the 1980s with Man Pasand, Loot Maar, both opposite Tina Muneem and Swami Dada 1982, all being critically acclaimed and box office hit. Though Devanand demand as the lead hero had not decreased even in the 1980s, he decided that it was the right time to introduce his son Sunil Anand in films as the hero. He launched his son in Kramer versus Kramer, inspired Anand or Anand 1984, which was produced and directed by Devanand himself and had music of R.D. Barman. He expected the film to do well. The film was a box office disaster, and so Neil Arnold decided not to act in films anymore. But films with Devanand as the lead hero in Hum Naujawan 1985 and Lachkar 1989 continued to be box office successes and were appreciated by critics. Awal number 1990, where Devanand co-starred with Aditya Pancholi and Amir Khan, became an average grosser in the year 1990. Amir said in an interview that Awal number is the only film he signed without reading the script because it was being directed by his senior Devanand. Amir quoted, Dev Saab was an icon for many generations and entertained us throughout his life. He was already 60 years old in 1983 when he acted opposite Christian Norling alongside Rati Agnihotri and Padmini Kolhapur in Swami Dada. Often compared to the famous actor Gregory Peck the world over, Devanand said he didn't feel ecstatic hearing that tagline bestowed on him in his heyday. When you are at an impressionable age, you make idols, but you grow out of the phase, you develop your own persona. I don't want to be known as India's Gregory Peck. I am Devanand. Acquainted with the Bollywood actor, Peck's personal interactions with him spanned 4 to 5 long meetings in Europe and Mumbai. Dev Anand and Suraiya met Peck for the first time in Bombay's Wellington Club after the Filmfare Awards in 1954. On Peck's stopover from a schedule at Sri Lanka after shooting for the Purple Plane, he knew of the Indian star as an actor, more so probably because his romance with Suraiya was grabbing the headlines and they had a chat. The second time they met was in Rome when Devanand was on his way back from Venice Film Festival. He visited him on the set of Roman Holiday. I was returning from the Venice Film Festival. I stopped my car and joined the crowd watching the shoot, hoping that his eyes would fall on me. As expected, he nodded and I walked up to him. He remembered me and we exchanged pleasantries. The third meeting was at London on the set of Moby Dick. However, Suraiya asked for an exclusive meeting with her idol at her house. Though Anand says jealousy was natural for anyone in love, he didn't mind that he was not invited. I didn't quite feel anything. So this was little bit about Devanand, and then there was a very interesting Instagram post from Tina Muni, and it says, toast to the man who opened the door to a world of possibility, creativity, and discovery for me. Thank you for believing in me, Dev Saab, and thank you for the memories. Your absence is felt deeply. So this is the Instagram post. So someone is asking, can you explain, Kirk Michaels, can you explain what Bollywood is? I'm not familiar with the details of what is all about. Yes, Kirk, Bollywood is the Hindi film industry, which is in Mumbai, which was before called Bombay, and it is about the film industry. And this, the actor I'm talking about is Devanand, and you can Google him, and he was a legend in Bollywood. And thank you for asking question. And yes, I have been to Bollywood. I have met many actors and actresses in Bollywood. Had a chance of that, and it's a life experience. So if you go there, take a Bollywood Bombay, visit Bombay, take a Bollywood tour. And I love when people interact with me. Thank you, Kirk Michaels, for asking these questions. And now I'm going on a break, and then I will read from a book which was written by an IAS officer on Devanand. And so please don't go anywhere, be here, and you will love that book, and that book is no promotion or anything. I just got it from Amazon and I liked it, and that's why I'm mentioning that book. And so I will be going on a break and will be back soon.
Would you love exposure for your business, product, or service to over 300 million potential listeners? Send an email to info@talk4media.com. And now let's hear from some of our sponsors.
A monstrous infection is spreading worldwide. Oh my God, is this a simple infection or a deliberate attempt to ruin the human population? Or maybe it's bioterrorism. What is this global infection and who is spreading it? Help us find out. Go to Amazon and search for The Outbreak of a Monstrous Infection. The human race needs your help to make this go viral. Go to Amazon.com and read The Outbreak of a Monstrous Infection to find out what happens next. Go now. The world is depending on you.
The Outbreak of a Monstrous Infection, Chapter 1, 1964 to 2018, and this is the sample track, and it is read by Dr. Afshan Hashmi. In a sprawling bungalow in Potomac, Maryland, USA, lived Dr. Honey Singh, a board-certified internal medicine and family practice physician, along with his beautiful wife, Baby Singh. Baby Singh was a fashionista and was funding women's causes through her Honey Bay Foundation. She had a ladies' book club by the name of Baby's Glam and Glitzy Club, which had many glam and glitzy ladies who were professionals living in Washington, D.C., Potomac, Maryland, Virginia, and even Beverly Hills, California, as well as elites from all of America meeting at her place on the last Wednesday of every month, discussing various aspects of charities they wanted her and Dr. Honey to fund. In this club, there was a wide spectrum of career women. There were doctors, lawyers, actresses, business owners, and models, to name a few. In these book club meetings, members would come prepared after reading a book of a famous woman author, and that author was even invited from any part of the world to give her presentation, followed by a Q&A in this prestigious and elite gathering. And now, friends, I would be talking about from a book, and this is the book, The Dev Anand Story by Dr. Govind Sharma, IAS retired. So this is Dev Anand's photograph here. It says Chapter 1, The Dev Anand Story. 4 December 2011 turned out to be a very sad Sunday morning for crores of Dev Anand fans in India and abroad. The lead story on all the news channels was about the sad demise of the evergreen film star Dev Anand, the man who had ruled the silver screen for 65 years, playing his last real role in the movie Charge Sheet at the age of 88, who had fans spanning across four generations, who was conferred upon Padma Bhushan and Dada Saab Phalke Award, was no longer with us. The end came in room number 207 of Washington Hotel in the Mayfair district of London, where he was on one of his visits to promote his movie and to plan his next project, as Devanand was always on the move and he spent his Bollywood earnings only on making new and stylish movies on topical subjects. Such is the dispensation of the nature that even an undeniably never ending pack of energy like Devanand had to end his journey on this planet, much to the shock and dismay of his fans, who believed that he would go on forever. So, this was a little bit, and then there is very interesting part here. Devanand did not go to gym to build his muscles, but he always remained very fit with the help of yoga, swimming, and stretch exercises. There never was an ounce of extra fat on him. Even in his 80s, he could fit into the clothes designed for teenagers. Mala Dayal, daughter of the famous literary personality Kushwant Singh, published a book, Portrayal of a Serial Killer 2015, which contains some of the unpublished works of the great author. In one of the chapters, An Evening with Devanand, the legendary writer Kushwant Singh gave the following account of a dinner he had with Devanand in his hotel suite sometime in 1973. An array of soda bottles and an almost full bottle of Black Dog was evidence that the scotch had not been drunk. Dave had nursed his own chota small in his hand, waiting for me to finish my quota of three. Then he put away his tumbler with the whiskey still in it. He nibbled at the food and waved away the pudding. I had heard of film stars bacchanalian feast where they drink away into the early hours to combine supper with breakfast. With Dave, the evening was over by 9:30 p.m. The most important thing to learn from the characters played by Dev Anand in his movie is that they never wallow in self pity, they take the life as it comes. The following lines from his Hum Dono song rightly reflect his reaction to the disappointments in life. बर्बादियों का शोक मनाना फजूल था बर्बादियों का जश्न मनाता चला गया. There is no point in grieving the setbacks, I celebrate them. Devanand did not believe in the ritualistic mumbo jumbo of Mahurat ceremonies, nor did he believe in the superstitions based on numerology and the like. He watched his movie only once at the time of the premiere, never saw it or thought about it for the second time. He always looked ahead and moved forward non stop. He never believed in repeating what had already been done. He was a karma yogi who believed in following his dreams. He has been quoted saying, "You are dead the moment you stop dreaming." So, chapter 2, it is about his early lives, but I have read it previously about his early life from internet information, so I will skip this. And then chapter 3 says 1949 to 1954, taking of the tide on flood. 1949 to 1954 is the most important and eventful phase in Devanand's life in terms of his career as well as his personal life. Ziddi's success catapulted him to the big league. He bought his first car, a Hillman Mix, established his own production company, rose to the superstar status, had a failed love relationship with the most popular film star of the time, the matchless beauty Suraya, and came out of the trauma of the breakup, got into another relationship which culminated in his marriage to his gorgeous co-star Kalpana Karthik, Akka Mona Singha. He also had a near fatal road accident in 1952 when he was driving from Melbourne to Mumbai after the filming of Jal. Devanand acted in four films in 1949 and in eight films in 1950. Such was his charm that all the big producers wanted him to sign him for their films, and all the leading ladies wanted to act opposite him. In fact, they did. The credits of the movies of this period will show that all the successful heroines of the time, like Suraya, Kamni Kaushal, Madhubala, Nargis, Nimmi, Nalini, Jayant, Shyama, Nirupa Roy, Munawar Sultana, Nigar Sultana, Ramola, and Rehana were his actors. Devanand was smart and organized. He took full advantage of the fact that after the success of Ziddi, the winds were blowing his way. He had to make the right choices to seize the opportunity his destiny had given him. At this stage, it would not be out of place to quote the great Shakespeare: there is a tide in the affairs of men which, taken on the flood, leads on to fortune. Devanand took the post-Siddhi tide on the flood, and the rest is history. His 12 movies were released in the next 2 years. Not only that, he co-starred with the most popular heroines of the time. His movies had super hit music scored by the best music directors of the time like Chand Prakash, Sachin Dev Burman, Husn Lal, Bhagat Ram, Anil Biswas, Ghulam Muhammad, C. Ramchandra, S. Mohinder, Desai, and Sajjad Hussain. Now, chapter 4 is here, 1955 to 65. The success story continues in the period between 1955 and 65. 1965, Devanand enjoyed uninterrupted success both as a charming action hero and as a romantic star, gave several box office hits, and won his first Filmfare Acting Award. He worked with the top directors of the film and played lead roles opposite the most beautiful heroines of time like Kalpana Karthik, Meena Kumari, Nalini Jayant, Kiran, Nutan, Wahida Rahman, Vijanti Mala, Madhu Bala, Mala Sinha, Aisha Parekh, Sadhna, Nanda, Saira Banu, Suchitra Sen, and Sharda, among others. As far as the box office performance is concerned, Devanand never looked back after Bazi. Some of his movies were number one at the box office, and from 1951 to 63, at least one of his movies was in top 5 or top 10 every year. So now is chapter 5, Guide, one of the best movies ever made. The idea to make this movie first came to Devanand in 1962 at the Berlin Film Festival, where his movie Hum Dono was the official entry. In a party hosted by Navketan Films for the international film celebrities, Devanand met the Danish American film director Tad Danielewski, who on an earlier occasion had discussed with him about a project to make an American movie based on a book written by an Indian author. Tad and Liskey represented an American film company which he co-owned with the Nobel Prize winning author Pearl Buck. Somebody told Devanand about the Sahitya Academy Award winning novel The Guide by R.K. Narayanan. Devanand read the book in a single sitting and liked it very much, as he thought it would rather be challenging to portray the character of Raju the guide. He tried to contact the author R.K. Narayanan. R.K. Narayanan wrote the guide in 1956 when he was in Berkeley on a travel grant from the Rockefeller Foundation. Narayanan thought that someone suffering in forced sainthood would make a good subject for his next novel, and he got the idea about the setting of the novel from the situation when a severe drought in Mysore had dried up Krishna Raja Sagar Reservoir, and the principal authorities organized a prayer for rains involving Brahmins fasting and standing knee deep in water in the Kaveri basin. Narayan discussed the story outline with his mentor Graham Greene, who suggested that the hero should die in the end. In Berkeley, Narayanan stayed in a hotel for 3 months to pen the novel, about 80,000 words. The novel was published the next year. It was a huge success and it won the Sahitya Academy Award for the year 1960. It is a story of Raju, a tourist guide of Malgudi, who meets Rosie, a dancer who's already married to Marco, an aging archaeologist. Marco is interested only in his research about the caves. He completely ignores his wife and is dead against her plans to be a dancer. Raju encouraged Rosie to take up dancing, and when she is separated from her husband, keeps her in his house against his mother's wishes. Raju helps Rosie to practice her steps and create opportunities for her to become a famous dancer. In an attempt to keep Marco away from Rosie, Raju gets mixed up in a case of forgery and he is sentenced with 2 years of imprisonment. And this is now I would like to remind you that this was a tribute to Dev Anand, a legend actor and filmmaker of Bollywood. And Dev Anand, if you are listening in heaven, I would like to give you a flying kiss. Having said that, friends, now the time is coming to an end, and so now it is time to sign off. So I'm signing off, and cheers, and see you next Thursday in my K4 HD radio and Talk 4 TV show, and then at 6 p.m. US Eastern Time, and then I have another show at W4WN radio and Talk 4 TV, and these both shows are syndicated worldwide to more than 300 million listeners. So if you give me sponsorship, you will get promoted to these many listeners and viewers in a very reasonable price. Having said that, now I will sign off. Cheers and bye bye.
You've been listening to Meet and Greet with Dr. Afshan Hashmi on K4HD Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in live right here every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Would you love exposure to your business, product, or service to over 300 million potential listeners? Send an email to info@talk4media.com. And remember, if you missed any part of this show or want to hear it again, find our featured show on iHeartRadio or YouTube, where all past episodes are available on demand 24/7. See you next Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on K4HD and Talk4 TV.